he got caught up with a bad crowd. And that's come up. How many times have you said, well, I was hanging out with the wrong people. I really wasn't doing that. I was hanging out with the wrong people. You are the wrong person. You are the bad crowd.
Can you state your name for the record?
Joseph Freeman.
And Mr. Freeman, you are the defendant in this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have pled guilty to the offenses of the aggravated robbery, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, the state has brought some evidence about a deadly conduct, a shooting that occurred a few months earlier. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You want to tell the judge what happened in that case?
We was riding our bikes through the neighborhood, and a guy and my cousin or my friend, I can't remember which one it was, but they had an argument at the house earlier, and they saw each other. They started arguing. He pulled out a gun, and I began firing shots.
Okay. Now, who is your cousin?
My cousin's name is Kerry Kirkwood.
Okay, but who was with you when you were riding bikes?
It was me, JK, and Third.
So you're telling the court that you shot at the guy, I think his name was Palmer, because Palmer had a gun?
Yes, sir.
And he had gotten into a confrontation with your cousin?
Yes, sir.
Were you afraid that he might shoot you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's talk about the aggravated robbery that you pled guilty to, right? Because you were out there at that time when these people got their car stolen, right?
Yes, sir.
Who was with you that day?
Charles Verdine, and I can't remember the other guy's name. His name Red. I don't know his real name.
Okay, but y'all call him Red?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and who pulled the woman out of the car?
Charles Verdine.
Okay, he was the one that threatened to kill her?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what did you do?
When I got in the car.
Okay, so you were there with him, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a gun that day?
No, sir.
With regard to the murder case that they've accused you of, was that you in the red and black pants?
Yes, sir.
When you went up to the car, did you know that Kaylon Johnson was going to shoot anybody?
No, sir.
Okay, did you have a gun?
No, sir.
Did you get shot?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Freeman. Okay, let's go back to the deadly conduct. You're saying that David Palmer's lying?
I'm not saying that he lied. I'm saying that he had a gun that I fired back at him.
Did anybody ever say that he had a gun?
No, nobody never said that.
Why'd you run? Why'd you run from Officer Ortega?
I was scared. I had fear. I have fear of the cops.
Why?
Because on Instagram and TikTok, they show cops killing people. I didn't want to be the next one dead.
Ran from the cops because you knew you'd done something wrong, didn't you?
No, that's why I stopped.
So we're supposed to take your word for it over Mr. Palmer. Yes or no? Are we supposed to take your word for it or Mr. Palmer's?
I guess mine because he's not here.
Okay. But we heard the officer testify about the gunshots in his vehicle. We see you run. And what do we see you with in your pocket? A loaded 9mm Taurus, right? What were you doing with it?
I had it for my protection. They had people that been shooting at my house and my auntie's house.
So judge is supposed to believe that on the day of the deadly conduct, that you clearly can't deny it because she saw you on the screen with the Taurus in your pocket and the 2 mags in your back pocket, right? That you had a gun that day.
Yes.
But all these other times you didn't have a gun on you?
No, ma'am.
And you didn't know that criminal activity was going to be happening?
I knew that criminal activity was going to be happening, but I wasn't expecting for them to do it while I was around.
So you knew what you guys were doing. Y'all were just running as a little group of thugs, right? All over the south end of Beaumont, doing whatever you want with loaded firearms in your pockets, shooting at people, holding people up, and eventually murdering people, right? All when you're 19 years old.
No, ma'am.
So y'all gonna steal the car too, huh?
I just wanted to ride home.
To where? Home where?
To my pop's house on Merrily Lane in the West End.
You ever stay at 4395 Avenue A?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you just wanted to ride home, so you're gonna steal those poor people's car at gunpoint, and you're telling me that you're a young man, able-bodied, even younger at the time, in good shape, can't walk from Saks to Avenue A to lay your head down? Are you
I want
serious?
to go to my pop's house in the West End.
Could you have walked to the West End too?
That's a far walk.
So let's just steal a car instead and carjack people at gunpoint? Because you want to go to your pop's house? Does that make any sense, Joseph?
No, ma'am.
It doesn't make any sense. So we're not supposed to believe Mr. Palmer, we're not supposed to believe Miss Flores, we're not supposed to believe Mr. Arcadia. Poor Joseph just happens to always be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you never know what all your running buddies who you've been running with for years with weapons in your pockets are gonna do you? You're just oblivious to what Ronald, Charles, and Kalon do.
I ain't no Ronald.
You know
I just met him.
You knew Kalon.
Yeah.
We see you on the video with Kalon at the time of the homicide, and we see you on the evading video and the show up to David Palmer with who? Also there, in handcuffs, Kalon. And you're telling this judge, you really want her to give you mercy and you're going to sit there and laugh? So are you saying that when you got out of the car, of his car,
I ran away from him
why didn't you call the police and tell them somebody had just shot you?
because I was scared. They told me not to call the police.
Who?
Charles and Kayla.
You knew you were going there to do a dope trip, didn't you?
No, ma'am, I did.
You were going there to buy drugs. So were you going there to commit a crime? Is buying drugs illegal?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're going there to commit a crime and somebody ends up dead, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how you're not involved as a party to that homicide and that engaging in criminal activities of narcotics.
All right, Mr. Coleman, the co-defendant okay, I want to make sure, Mr. Freeman, part of the reason I wanted to look back and see what I did is because I honestly feel like all four of you co-defendants in the murder, in my opinion, got off too easy. One of them was an agreement, and I understand why that agreement was reached. Came up first, was honest very quickly, and did what he needed to do to take care of his business. Didn't have other criminal history that I can recall, and that's Kalen. Now, it sounds like he was obviously involved in a lot of other stuff that, and really until today, I don't know that everybody knew about. And today you've decided to give us some more information, because in your pre-sentence report, with regard to the two ag robberies that you're here for today, you specifically said your version to the pre-sentence report officer was that you were with your cousin, and your cousin saw a couple of people sit in a car, and your cousin ran up and took the car at gunpoint. You were there, didn't know he was going to do it, but it was wrong. So you're mentioning one person, a cousin.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's not true, is it?
It's true. I mentioned his friend because I forgot he was there.
Because you're doing so many bad things, you can't remember who you do them with.
No.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly true. I sat up here today and I did a chart. I did a timeline, because it's hard for me when there's so many things going on that someone's doing bad, that to keep up with all of it and to really get an understanding of it. At 18 years old, October of 21, you're arrested that day for the deadly conduct. You make a bond in that case, and then you just decide, got away with that. I'm out on bond. Let me go do all this other stuff. Let me go drag a girl out of a car at gunpoint, steal it with my friends or cousin or whoever. Let me go be involved in the murder or whatever it was going to be of Richard Shallow. I don't think y'all probably went there to murder him, but I think y'all went there to do more than just buy drugs. He's a drug dealer. Everybody knew that. It came out in that other trial. He is not going to, in most cases, your drug dealer is not going to do something to harm his business. He wants to keep selling drugs. So y'all had the gun, in my opinion. Y'all were trying to take the drugs and not have to pay for them. And he had a gun because he's a drug dealer to protect himself and tried to shoot at y'all. And y'all shot back. And that's what happens in drug deals when you go to steal drugs from a drug dealer. But you're not afraid of having a gun and shooting at people. I don't know who had the gun in these 2 ag robberies, but y'all get the car, you get away. You have the car, the people are out of their car, and you still shoot at them. You could have just killed those 2 innocent people. You've already got their gun, you've already got the car. We're lucky you're not here on a murder of Mr. Palmer, that you're not here on a murder of Ms. Flores, that you're not here on a murder of Mr. Ortega, because you're just running, and who knows what else. Because typically when someone gets caught, usually they've already done a bunch of stuff that they didn't get caught for. All the shootings that are going on that are not solved in that small area of town, I'm betting that at least for some amount of time, they've slowed down because you have been in jail. And Charles Verdine's been in jail, and Kaylin Johnson and Ronald Babineau, because you're a menace to our community. I got the letters and I read the letters, and I understand that your family loves you and they should love you, your family. But a couple of things that stuck out to me that are just showing the denial of the lifestyle that you were living, that they had to have known someone about. You weren't just home hanging out. You were on the streets hanging out. Your mom says, my son's a good kid. He got caught up with a bad crowd. And that's come up. How many times have you said, well, I was hanging out with the wrong people. I really wasn't doing that. I was hanging out with the wrong people. You are the wrong person. You are the bad crowd. I mean, clearly, he's a good role model for his younger siblings. I can't even grasp that. A good role model, shooting in a deadly conduct at 18 years old, committing 2 aggravated robberies later, still 18 years old, hadn't even turned 19 years old yet, and a murder 8 days after that. Then you take off and you're running from the cops in Denton County. In my opinion, you're running from the cops because you probably have 4 felony warrants for your arrest, not because somebody just told you to run from the cops. Anyway, all that being said, but your history and what you did, in my opinion, rises to a whole nother level. So in cause number 22-39679, find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of aggravated robbery. Sentence you to a term of 60 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. There will be an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon in that case. Cause number 22-40981. Find sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and at this time find you guilty of aggravated robbery. Sentence you to a term of 60 years in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Corrections. You will also receive credit on that sentence for any time that you've been in custody that the law gives you the right to receive. These cases will run concurrently, which means together at the same time. I'm going to hand you the trial court certification in each of these cases. These were not agreements. You do have some rights to appeal. You can talk to Mr. Radford about that. I'm also handing you a written admonishment regarding your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. This is important because you're young and you will make parole at some time. And it is hopefully you will not get out and continue doing the same things. But because of these judgments, you are not allowed to have a firearm or ammunition in the state of Texas.